Hola, Emily. All is good. All is good. I'm gonna tell you exactly now. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm gonna, yeah, we got some breaking news and stuff, but everything is all right over here. So please, please do not. Welcome, Emily. Welcome, Elsie Ferrarezzi. Sorry, I can read so well from here. I need to really up the brightness a little bit so I can focus a little bit better. Anyway, there's been a little bit of news because of the Spanish government has jailed a rapper for saying things that are fundamentally true about the Spanish monarchy and the Spanish government and whatnot. And if you want to know about the case, I'm going to try and give you a little bit of perspective about what happened and whatnot. And please do ask questions and doubts that you have about the case, okay? I'm going to try and tell you the story more or less. So this is what happened. I think it was yesterday. Pablo Hasel is his name. He's a rapper. Basically, he's an ML type of rapper. He's a Marxist-Leninist type of rapper. He's very, old school communist, and he makes his lyrics about, revolution and whatnot. And you may agree more or less with him. He has really good takes. Sometimes he's got some not so good takes. Sometimes it's fine. That's what comrades are. We come in flavors, okay? That's more or less the gist of it. And yeah, he wrote a song about the Bourbons, the Borbones, that's how you call them, saying basically that the Bourbons are a pack of thieves, which is actually true. Like the former king who abdicated in favor of his son, I think it was couple of years ago. I don't remember exactly when. I'm not really good with timings. But he was knee deep in cases of corruption and whatnot. So he had abdicated on his son, the current king, Felipe the Sixth. In Spain, supposedly the king is the chief of state and chief of the army. So the main authority, right? So instead of having a president of the republic or whatever, we have and then a prime minister. We have a king and a royal family that is, of course, paid for with public money, and they don't live in humility. To be precise, they live a very lavish lifestyle, as any royal family, to just indicate their status and whatnot. Okay. Yeah, Spain still has a monarchy, which is surprising, isn't it? Okay, Spain had monarchies. I guess, the origin of Spain, which is if we go back, enough, the origin of Spain is really cloudy. Like the foundational myth of the average garden variety right winger about Spain would be that it originated with the Catholic kings, Isabel and Fernando. Isabel was Queen of Castilla, Fernando King of Aragon. But, back in those days, they were still different kingdoms, and up to their death, they were still different kingdoms. So when Spain is constituted is very, very difficult to say. Way past the 15th century for sure. And they used it to they used to, but I thought they were like over that, especially after the whole fascism thing. Yes, and that's the thing. Okay, let me rewind. Let me rewind a little bit. Around history, and we'll figure this out together. Okay. So there was like this the several dynasties. First there was the Austrias, who came from Austria, and then there was the Bourbons, who came from France, who took over after restorations and whatnot. And that happened after the French invasion in I think it was in 1808, when in the 19th century, when the whole thing, the Napoleonic invasion of Spain. Where there was like some king or whatever, and Napoleon's asking, I want to invade Portugal, so if you let our troops through, please. And the king was like, okay, and then they invaded Spain. And so during that time, there was, Napoleon's brother, Jose Bonaparte, Joseph Bonaparte, who was a famous drunk, and he was nicknamed Pepe Botella, the bottle, Joe Bottle, Pepe Botella. Anyway, there was this revolution in the 1808 constitution. They called La Pepa, and there was an uprising, but what the people put was another fucking Bourbon. So it was another fucking king. And there was another monarchic restoration in the name of the Bourbons, and these family Bourbons were kicked out of the country several times for their famed corruption. Like Alfonso XIII was the one that was kicked out of Spain back in 1931. When the Second Republic happened, there was a First Republic, but it was a really failed attempt at a Spanish Republic that ended in the dictatorship of Primo de Rivera, who was the father of one of our most known fascists, at the style of the Italian fascism that was loosely based on socialist rhetoric for populist reasons, but advocated for a traditionalist and very exclusive type of rule. So that, okay, forward to the Second Republic, 1931, and the last of the Bourbons was thrown out of the country because of the corruption and all the stealing and all the embezzlement of public funds and all the repression of the, minor strikes up in Asturias that did continue throughout the Republic and some of the years of the Francoist regime. But the Francoist regime was so brutally repressive that, they had to stop until back in the 60s, 70s when things started again, and the Francoist dictatorship died, not because it was defeated, but because Franco died of old age. So what we're living in now is socially and, in terms of the part of the government that nobody elects, which is the majority of the government structures, including the judge ruling body, including most of the institutions that are fixed, that are not elected. They're still Francoist institutions. And that's something, that we could say that the famous quote-unquote transition when Franco died was mostly aesthetic, okay? So what happened? The Bourbons were thrown out in the Republic. Then the quote-unquote Civil War, which I like to say was an extermination war carried on by fascists, after a failed coup d'etat. Happened, between 36 and 39. It was won by the fascists in coalition with the Nazis in Germany and the Italian fascists from Benito Mussolini. That was like a prelude to World War II that was going to happen afterwards. And in which, by the way, in World War II, during World War II, Franco sent a division of soldiers, volunteer soldiers, to fight with the German side. Okay, and put a pin on that one because it's gonna come out afterwards. Okay, so so we got let's say the Franco dictatorship lasts for about 40 years. And then we have the quote-unquote democracy, which is like the death of Franco dictator, who appointed Juan Carlos first of Bourbon, of the Bourbons. Who is this guy this rapper is talking about? Who was appointed directly by the Spanish dictator Francisco Franco, who was clearly a Spanish flavor of fascism, heavily entangled with Catholic religion. Okay, so that's more or less the background, the historical background of what's going on, and what this rapper is talking about. It's about the trips to Dubai, the trips to his relationship with some other heavily authoritarian monarchies, like the Saudi monarchy and like the but I mean basically the Saudi monarchy and the Dubai Emirates, all the corrupt and mobsters in and around this environment. They were there. They signed up and they did business with Juan Carlos. So that's more or less in a gist, what the historical background for this thing. And what this rapper was singing about, I think I have some screenshots over here that I could translate. What he was judged about. And this is, Pablo Hasel was, let me see if I can pull it up, because it's on, I think it was Publico. I think I have it on my history. Wait a minute, because I just put this thing together. There you go, 64 tweets and one song. Let me share the screen with y'all, okay? Why? Okay. History. Where is this? These are 64 tweets. There you go. So let me share the screen with y'all so you can check it out, okay? There you go. Let me know, if you got any questions, you can ask anytime, okay? This is the idea. I just put this stream very, very quickly together, seeing there was concern on behalf of, people who were worried about. Because everybody knows Spain is a very small country of only 40 million people, and we all know each other. But I appreciate the sentiment, considering, I'm engaging in leftist media all the time, and being Spain, this hellscape of censorship and whatnot, it is really appreciated. So, okay, the 64 tweets in question, okay? Let me go back to those in a second. There you go. These are the 64 tweets and the song. There's the article and whatnot. I'm going to read some of them for you, okay? Say it's the attorney, was argumenting their petitions, signaling that they could find 1,915 tweets in the account of Pablo Hasel in which appear the terms Grapo, monarchy, ETA, king, terrorism, Bilbao, bomb, Bourbon, police, and civil guard, which is another body of the police, which is halfway militarized, which is quite the joke. Hola, Dele Dragones. Welcome. Yeah, so, okay. This is the motherfucker, and this is the song.
Et pour vous personnellement, que représente le général Franco?
And for you,
pour moi, c'est un exemple vivant, jour.
He's asking, like, what does General Franco represent for you? He says, for me, he's a living example, day by day, of his patriotic endeavor to the service of Spain, and therefore I have for him a great affection and admiration.
Un jour, par son dévouement patriotique en service de l'Espagne, et à part ça, j'ai pour lui une très grande affection.
I hope you hear the audio, okay.
¿Cuántos millones y millones han saqueado y derrochado?
So many millions and millions,
años.
they've been exploited and they've been dilapidating.
Tantos miembros de la
So many
familia
years,
real.
so many members
Luego
of the
los
real family.
psicópatas que nos gobiernan.
And this is Franco, and you peel off the layer, and there comes the former king, the father, and you peel off the next layer, and there's the son. The one in the middle is like our current king.
Dicen que no hay dinero para derechos de primera necesidad.
They say there is no budget for our first necessity rights,
Pero tienen los años contados.
but the years are coming to an end.
Se acerca la República Popular.
The Popular Republic is coming. There are so many people in Spain advocating for a third republic, to be honest. It was, you see some of the videos, during the pandemic and whatnot, we went during last summer. that we engaged in some protest regarding that. And the sentiment is very alive, and it's been heavily repressed to now, because for now, the representatives of the state, it is, they come really heavy on any dissension that anybody trying to claim for the republic. The Spanish word for the crown is la corona. Yeah, that is hilarious. Why? Because the plague. Okay, yeah, definitely. That's a coronavirus. Yeah. So many people say that the virus are the monarchs. But the virus is the system.
Juan Carlos el Bobón que quieren ocultar, contar quién es y qué hace es delito.
They wanna hide the story of Bourbon, and telling who he is and what he does is apparently a crime. He didn't have the same education when he killed his little brother Alfonsito. The motherfucker here, he killed his brother on a quote unquote hunting accident. Nobody knew what happened there, but he killed his brother, the motherfucker.
¿Quién se cree que fue un accidente? Ni Maruenda imaginando a Rajoy desnudo cuando miente.
Anyway.
Torrente es un santo al lado de Juanca. Ya denunciaron que a Sofía maltrata. ¿Qué legitimidad tiene?
He beats the queen as well, apparently. Some people have been claiming that he beats the queen, and nobody believes that he's the saint that the media wants to proclaim so much. Even the croonies who are most into defending the monarchy. He's the inheritor of Franco, who is dilapidating our public money in parties and whores.
De su impunidad en un chalet en Suiza. Imagínalo borracho diciendo: el pueblo me elija. Con la pija de su amante recuerda cazas de elefantes. Mientras aumenta el hambre y no hay justicia que lo cace.
Yeah, he used to go on hunting trips to Africa, and he was caught in one of those lavish trips, on a picture, taking a picture with the dead elephant and the guide or whatever in his luxury trips during the 2008 crisis that hit like the hardest in, I think it was 2011, 2012. And they got him on picture, and he had to go publicly coming out of the hospital where he broke his hip in one of his hunting trips, apparently. Yeah, it's very sus, that royals hunting obsession, definitely. There's a movie out there, I hope it's out there, called Los Santos Inocentes, which talks a lot about the Holy Innocents, the film. Okay, there's a Wikipedia article and everything. I want to leave you the link on the description. They like destroying lives. Definitely, it's part of the power. But there's something about... I've seen the movie, okay? It's based on a book. And about very poor people during the early Franco years, during the Franco dictatorship, in which the señoritos, meaning the high-ranking, the powerful people, were exploiting and treating as less than human the people who were poor in those small rural environments that some señoritas lived, where they only wanted to hunt. So whoever were guarding their summer mansions or whatever, their countryside mansions, were there to assist them in the hunt. They were always hunting. And it's a great movie. It's I haven't read the book, but it talks a lot about the societal conditions of the Spanish problematic side, I would say. Spain hopefully has a lot of good things, but there's a lot of bad stuff, and the bad stuff is, so far, this is what it's all about. And that's one of the reasons why they put this guy in jail, okay?
A la cárcel van los pobres, no la infanta Cristina, pero medio país le desea la guillotina.
So, only poor people go to jail, but never the infanta, which is like the heiress, the princess Cristina, who was caught embezzling money with her husband and taking like commissions in the name of the monarchy, because that's what they're supposed to do. To be honest, that guy was caught. The husband of this princess person was absolutely caught red-handed, because he assumed that was their business model. He didn't even think it was illegal or whatever. So, but most of people think about the guillotine. That's what he's saying in the lyrics.
Saben ni hablar. ¿Por qué no te callas? A mí no me cierra la boca semejante canalla.
¿Por qué no te callas? That thing, it's when Hugo Chavez, I'm going to try and find it. Anyways, is why power shouldn't be in the hands of a small elite group of families. Definitely. Power is not for the elites. Power is a responsibility. Like, let me say. ¿Por qué no te callas? It was during an American summit. There you go.
La misma palabra lo dice. Machista.
Okay. This is not okay. Wait a second. There you go.
Estar en las antípodas de una posición.
This is Zapatero, who was in the quote unquote Socialist Party, which are like the liberals, more or less like the Democratic Party, but in Spain.
Lógica.
This guy himself is not that bad, but he believes like in law and order and bullshit. He's a lot too much in the system, but the human being is not that bad a guy. He just brainwashed in the hierarchical bullshit.
No sería porque esté cerca de las ideas de Aznar, pero el expresidente Aznar fue elegido por los españoles. Y exijo. Un momentín.
He's saying Hugo Chavez he's talking about the former president Aznar, who was a eagle, hawkish right winger. And over here you can see the fucking king, the piece of shit. And Hugo Chavez is saying, okay, but let him respect the dignity of the people. And the other guy, the quote unquote socialist, he's not a socialist, but a social democrat-ish profile, is saying like that we got to respect legality. And Hugo Chavez is coming back at him and saying, but he should respect the people. And he goes, you respect the entitled bitch. And check it out.
Ese respeto por una razón además.
I demand that respect, he says, and he says, well, you tell them the same, please.
Por supuesto.
Of course.
Por supuesto.
And they're understanding each other, right? They're having a dialogue. That's cool. You gotta respect Venezuela everywhere. And then, why won't you shut up? That's his contribution, the motherfucker, the piece of shit. So that's the whole story behind the ¿Por qué no te callas? Yeah, let's continue with this.
Juan Carlos el Bobón, capo mafioso saqueando el reino español en televisión.
Hola, Johnny Prophet.
Vomitan que es útil, sí claro, pa' su camello y pa'l dueño del puti. Juan Carlos el Bobón tomará su palacio, la revolución.
Anyway, he says he's only useful for his drug dealer and the owner of the whorehouse. And he's saying about, we gotta overthrow him with a revolution.
No habrá guardia real que evite los republicanos, juzguemos a Felipe.
There would be no royal guard that avoid for us the Republicans to judge Felipe. Anyway, that was one of the songs. And in between all of those messages, the Attorney General was highlighting in his writing, accusation writing, a total of 64 tweets that we can find at the end of this news, so on. And the attorney says that the Pablo Hasel told Juan Carlos first he was applying the adjectives of parasites, mobsters, thief, mobster, and medieval monarchy, which it's true. It's the truth. I don't know what's the problem in this. Banda criminal, which is a criminal gang, And these words, always in opinions of fiscal, the general attorney Campos Navas, are absolutely impertinent and unnecessary. But they don't grant him being in jail, motherfucker. They don't grant a person being deprived of freedom because some piece of shit with a crown finds them uncomfortable. Nobody should give a fuck. There were military and ex-military advocating for Holocaust of all the poor people in Spain, and they got away with it. Nobody bats an eye. Somebody says that, that the monarchy is corrupt, is medieval and outdated, and they are put in fucking jail. That's the problem, okay? So, I'm all right. I'm all right. So thank you for being concerned to our... I'm just mad. I'm just angry. As I said before, if you need to ask any questions, ask away. I'm reading the chat every now and then when I'm not too worked up, ranting. Musician sings the truth about the monarchy. They made fun of me, put them in prison. Exactly. That is the hubris of this outdated political model and everyone who supports them. And it's the sheer fucking hubris that calls, for this piece of shit to tell Hugo Chavez to shut up. Fuck, shut the fuck up, piece of shit. Piece of shit. Absolute piece of shit. Anyway, he's gonna die very soon, hopefully, Solidarity, Javi. It upsets. Yeah, it's very upsetting. I'm sorry I have to put you through this. That usually my streams are way more wholesome. And I'm still super wholesome towards you, okay? I'm just mad. But we're all mad. We've been mad for a couple of days. We've been mad for a long, long time. Because one of the things that I want to... the popular party, quote-unquote popular party, who are definitely unpopular amongst the people, which is a funny way, to put it down. But the thing is, the Conservative Party in Spain, I agree with you. Yeah, Rush Limbaugh is dead as well. I didn't know Rush Limbaugh. I didn't care much for Rush Limbaugh, but one less right-winger in the world is always going to be a good thing. I'd rather have them convinced of the wrongness of their ways and work with the people, or at least get out of the way. But, if that's the way they gotta go, they gotta go. Because, I'd rather have them live a good, peaceful life just getting out of the way of the revolution and the change that the people need to not to die, okay? Anyway, good riddance. One less person speaking against land back and queer peoples. Definitely. One less enemy. I'd rather make them friends or at least get them out of the way. But if that's the way they gotta go, it's sad, but, at the same time, it's good news that they're gone. And this motherfucker here, this piece of shit here, he gonna be gone very soon, hopefully. Hopefully. And I'm not worried about the motherfucker. He's just another, drug addict, and he's just I don't care, no king shaming. If you like drugs and if you like to party, good for you, man. I'm not gonna, but I'm more worried about his cronies. I'm more worried about his son and the rest of the family, but not the family, not the people themselves. It's about the structure that upholds that bullshit system in which a person goes to jail for saying the fucking truth. While some military assholes, because they're extreme right-wingers, they call about extermination of the people, and they get the fuck away with it. That's fucking hate speech. That's one of the things that really pisses me off. It's let me check, because I think it was on the thread that I was tagged with Luna, that a comrade put a very, where's the more replies here. What's really fucked up is that the government, I'm hoping I'm framing this okay, it's alright-ish. What's really fucked up is that the government banned the protest in solidarity with Pablo Hasel, while at the same time allowing a bunch of fascists commemorating the Blue Division that fought alongside Hitler in World War II. These two pictures were taken the same day. Fascists and Pablo Hasel being in jail. This is the problem. This is one of the biggest problems that this piece of shit made up country has. So yeah, apology of fascism is okay in Spain, but saying the truth about a corrupt institution puts you in jail. That's what it is. That's what it is. And remember when I told you, putting some in historical context, that Franco sent the División Azul, the Blue Division, to fight alongside Hitler. That is the case. That is the case. These motherfuckers here are celebrating them with anti-Semite rhetoric, raising their hand with the Spanish flag, with the eagle, with the chicken, like we call it. While this man, for saying the truth, he was sent to prison. That's the fucking contrast. That's why Spain needs to go. Spain needs to go. And I made an analysis before on Twitter. I just did it in Spanish. I'm going to try and summarize it later, okay? But yeah. Is she doing the Heil salute? Yes, gross. Yeah, the Roman salute all the way. That's absolutely legal. And the cops, they treat them like friends, while the cops beat the shit out of people demanding justice. And that's the problem in Spain, that it's still a fascistic state with the semblance of quote-unquote modern democracy, where the demos doesn't exert any kratos. No kratos for the demos. What the fucking democracy is that? Voting every 4 years to party A or party B. When the bipartisan structure of the Spanish electoral system was broken by the eruption of Podemos after 15M back in 2004, I think it was. No, 2014. Yeah, the Spanish monarchy and fascists were literally got armed by Italy and Germany. Yeah, while they smashed the CNT. I would say with a little bit of help of the Spanish communists, because they were assholes. They rather have oppressing the anarchists than helping them win battles in the front. So, it's a complicated thing. But yeah, it was an extermination war carried on by fascists after a failed coup d'etat. So here it is, So the attorney denounced that the defendant committed an offense of offensive language and libel against the institutions of the state, and the words of Hasel are against the dignity of the security forces of the state. In this sense, the accusation writing highlights the sentences Guardia Civil, which is a militarized police force that operates all over the Spanish state, torturing or shooting immigrants, which is true. When he wrote that, immigrants were being shot with rubber balls, who were swimming to get to the shore, to get to safety in the shore, because the coasts of Spain and Italy and every other Mediterranean countries and the Canary Islands that are laying in the Atlantic, but all European shores in those limits, they're absolute graveyards. And she says there's a bunch of psychopaths who beat up those who demand for our rights. It is true. And that offends those boot-licking pieces of absolute shit. And that grinds my fucking gears all the fucking way. Because it is true. These tweets were written during the oppression of on Catalonia. Let me switch. Represión. Oh. Let me see if we can find. So, yeah, this kind of shit, I'm gonna mute it, but this kind of shit was happening while he wrote these tweets. Look at the guy in orange. Look at how they beat him up. Look at how they gang up and they beat the shit out of the guy in orange. Look at that. Just look at it. Look at it. Unconscious. And still, you know, they put the man in jail for reporting about this truth, which is an undisputable truth, that there were police abuse during the referendum on the independence in Catalonia, because the right-wing government at the time wanted to be in a stalemate with the mostly right-wing also government in Catalonia about the matter of independence. The need for independence for these peoples is understandable because the Spanish state is so corrupt. The Spanish state is so absolutely corrupt, inefficient, and repressing that, of course, anybody would like to get out of Spain. It is understandable. Anyway, I'm going to engage your comments. Sorry about that. So, were none of the big fash under Franco held responsible at all? Nope. There was general forgiveness for everybody. That we had no Nuremberg trials or the sorts. That's our problem. That's the problem that happened also in Chile. All the Pinochet government. You know, they were never held accountable. Never, ever. Same in Argentina. The goons of General Videla never held accountable. And that's the problem. That's a problem that permeates our societies. You know, the abusers were never held accountable. Therefore, the wounds never healed. And there is still a class of people who feel privileged and entitled to commit all those abuses on the majority of the population. And whoever dares to question those facts. That's from 2019. 2019 seems forever ago. Anyway. And that's a journalist. That's a journalist. That's a journalist they're dragging. Unconscious. Rubber bullets. So yeah, it's like how the state deputizes settlers to cause panic and fear among native African socialists in the USA. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, they didn't get held responsible because Spain pretended to be neutral in World War II, but they did send the division. You know, the fascists that I showed before on the Twitter thing, they were homaging the División Azul, the Blue Division, that were there to fight along the Hitler side. So they pretended, but they were never neutral, if you know what I mean. It's just, you know, there were the Spanish War, the extermination war that people called, mainstream historians called the Civil War, that had nothing of a civil war. That was more an extermination war carried on by the fascists after a failed coup d'etat. During that war, some of the generals were saying that if they had to kill half of Spain to get the model of state that they wanted to impose, so be it. And it was, for them, it was not a bug, it was a feature. This violence has never gone. And, you know, today, being Pablo Hasel, the latest victim, doesn't mean that there haven't been other victims. Like in the case of Alsace, the young people in Alsace, they are hanging out in a bar. Alsace is it's a small village in the Basque Country, and they were hanging out basically in a bar, and there's a fight with two drunks who are very cocky and looking for a fight. There is a fight. The fight breaks. And not much happens, but so happens that the drunk motherfuckers who started the fight were cops, out of duty. You look at this. This one guy. Look at how is that not brutality? And they're shooting the person who's filming the video. They come inside of buses to get people. Anyway, the youth of Alsace, they got arrested and they got treated like terrorists. The terrorist legislation that was in place from the years of ETA, which, granted way over the top penalties for people for doing the most ridiculous things because they were quote unquote terrorists. So they treated these kids like terrorists for getting in a bar fight. Look at that, punching that grandpa. Piece of shit. They think they're brave. These absolute pieces of shit with legs. These are turds. These are not people. They cannot be treated as people. Riot police are not people. These brutal pieces of shit, they cannot be treated as people. They forfeited their personhood by doing these brutal acts of abuse. These are abusers. These are abusers. So this is, this violence is what got Pablo Hasel to write his tweets with truth about how the Spanish state exercises brutality against the people. So let's read those tweets out, okay? I'm gonna read out your comments first because I'm a little bit behind. Sorry about that. When I get to ranting, you know how it goes. Most of the Nazis who weren't tried became the cops of Germany. Yeah. Were part of the USA space and nuclear programs. There you go. Operation Paperclip. There you go. Ah, yeah, you said it, Joni, as well. That happened in Chile too. 2020 was like 10 years ago, definitely. 2019 was forever ago, I swear. Yeah. At any rate, let's go through those tweets, okay? So, by saying that the police murders with absolute impunity, it's a truth. It's true. Riot police have beaten and tortured always thousands of people. Of course they did. There is nothing offensive about the truth. If they get offended about the truth, they have to check themselves, not put the one who's saying it in jail. So let's go for those 64 tweets that were allegedly put this innocent man behind bars to see how absolutely ridiculous this whole thing is, this whole business is. I'm gonna throw things. Just Della and I are on the same wavelength. Good. I like people on the same wavelength. Vibe away, good people. So, 50 cops wounded? These shitty mercenaries are biting their tongue while they beat the shit out of people and they say they're wounded. Which is true. They exaggerate their injuries. When they're beating the shit out of people and they bite their own tongue, they're gonna put it on the protester. And then, they're wounded. They stumble on the street by themselves because the amount of armor that they wear. And it still counts as a fucking injury. It is fucking true. From 2014. Proud of those who responded to the aggressions of the police. Of course. Response to an aggression. You gotta be proud of those people. What's the problem in that? Is that jail worth it? Is that prison worth? Piece of shit attorney, entitled attorney who, and I'm gonna get there. So now the riot police are crying like babies when they have beaten and tortured always thousands and thousands of people. They have executed evictions with their truncheons, which is true. Again, true. From 2014. Another truth. Is this prison-worthy piece of shit? People have the right to rebel, exactly. Oh, Nicole, welcome. Only 50 minutes late, don't worry, this is gonna be a long one. I'm explaining the whole situation in Spain with Pablo Hasel getting imprisoned for writing the truth, basically. For saying the truth. Saying the truth puts you in prison in this piece of shit country, which is absolute garbage, like every other country, to be honest. Like, Spain is really bad. The United States sucks. France is awful. Italy sucks. Germany sucks ass. You know, we could go on and on and on and on. Every fucking country, you know, who does this on their people. It's a shit country. It needs to shut down. It's not as bad as Israel, which is the shittiest, most anti-human country right now in which they systematically, you know, punish and kill Palestinians for funsies, pieces of shit. They train settlers who are actual murderers. So anyway, it's not any state. It's these states that exist right now. You can make a state that it's all about service to the people. That it's all about, you know, fixing income for people and making sure that you know, companies don't create toxic chemicals and stuff, and make sure that you maintain the roads and the bridges and whatnot. You know, you can have you can devote a state to the service of the people. A state of social workers, a state of engineers, of accountants, you know. But instead, what we have, it's a shit hole that puts people in jail for telling the truth. Let's keep going. The police murders 15 migrants and their little holy guys. The people defend themselves from their brutality, and we are the quote-unquote violent terrorists. We are the bad guys. And again, 15 immigrants, you know, they were shot with rubber bullets while they were trying to swim to shore, to safety. And many of them drowned while they were shot by police. That's fucking murder. That's murder. These people are defenseless. They'd rather have them dead than crossing the fucking border. That is murder. And that is true. Anyway, they're trying to hide that many people have come out today to demand the end of the fascist monarchy, and they're even hitting journalists. Again, from 2014. That's the police brutality we've been watching right now. This all the shit. It's all the shit. This is brutality. And you know, apparently denouncing this brutality is gonna put you in jail. Saying that this is brutality. That these fuckers in the black helmets are absolute murderous pieces of shit, which is what they are. As any human being with a little bit of empathy would come to that conclusion. So what's worth of putting you in prison? Of saying this is an absolute awful violence, that these people are sociopathic garbage. You know, they're taking down a polling station because some politician said we don't want them to vote for their independence. So they give the authority to these thugs to destroy polling stations. Destroy polling stations. Democracy, they call it. Democracy. My ass. Sorry about getting all, This is I'm just angry. I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm sheltering in place and whatnot. I'm so tired of being in here, but I'm safe. I'm physically okay. I got a little bit of pain neck and whatnot, but that's about it, okay? So, more. Nazi police, or National police, torturing even in front of the cameras, which was happening in 2014. You kill a cop, they look for you even under the rocks. The police kill people? It's not thoroughly investigated. Truth. Double standard. What is prison worthy of these words? What part of these words are worth putting you in prison? 2 years since Íñigo Cavacas was murdered by the police, since anybody taking the fall for it. Again, Íñigo Cavacas, another young guy who was murdered by the police. I think I found an article in English. Finally, they got someone. But that's this news is from 2018, and the tweet is from 2014. So the murderers of Íñigo Cavacas were not still indicted. Nothing was happening. The justice system in Spain is incredibly slow for the fascists. And it's incredibly fast and incredibly cruel for the working people, for the defenseless people. You rob, you steal, you shoplift something from a supermarket because you're hungry, you cannot eat, they're going to put you in jail. You rob hundreds of millions you embezzle thousands of millions of euros from the public money, that belongs to everybody, you get away with it. Es el mercado, amigos, that the motherfucking economy minister under the Aznar administration said, Yeah, fuck all settler states, by the way. I know, but I love you, comrades. You're all fantastic. I'm mad about this other stuff. You're all fantastic and you're all great, and I'm glad that you're having. I'm gonna continue reading the Ecology of Freedom. I started with the first session to record chapter 1, so we got the introduction online. It's gonna be fun. Much love to good people. We're gonna this is the ugly part of the revolution, but the good part, the beautiful part, the hard work, the building, the good things that help people. That's the best part. But today we got to talk about the ugly stuff. Sorry about that. But I hope you get all worked up as I am. You do the same shit to yourself. Stop myself. We're gonna step upset on stream. I hear you. You know what it is. Anyway. And what's wrong of asking, for accountability for the motherfuckers who murdered Íñigo Cavacas? Let's get you Jan Cavacas was injured on April 5th, 2012 in Bilbao, Basque Country, when he went to the Athletic football match, doesn't matter, with his friends, and the Basque police charged against the crowd. According to the police, there were disturbances in the neighborhood of Indauchu, and there was when they took action. However, all the witnesses claimed that there was no disturbance. A rubber bullet fired from the Basque policeman injured the young man on the head, and he passed away after 4 days in the hospital. That's what happened with Íñigo Cavacas. And the thing is, with these rubber bullets, the rule says that rubber bullets need to be shot towards the floor, towards the ground, bounce, and then hit the protester, which is awful as well. What these motherfuckers do, they shoot to the head. Then it's not a non-lethal means anymore. as absolutely lethal, which is what was proven when they killed Íñigo Cavacas. But he's one of the many. That's the problem. There are so many cases every day in the fascist state of Spain. So no wonder, that most Catalonians want to separate from Spain. No wonder that most Basques want to separate from Spain. Two very progressive countries that want to part with the shit show that is the post-Francoist fascist state of Spain, which is a fake-ass country, which origin is not absolutely right, but in any case it's rooted in tyrannical monarchy. Who wants to be a part of that shit? Who wants to be a part of that shit? Who wants to live in that hellscape? Nobody wants. Of course, nobody should. Anyway. But yeah, if this system wasn't violent, we would need violence to fight against it. Hey, Chuck, isn't too terrible? Hola, hola, welcome. So, yeah, exactly, Della. The state gets to define what is and what isn't violence, and they will define anything that fights against them as violence, even peaceful protests. Yes, absolutely. Most protests are absolutely peaceful. And we've all been to a few. We know what it is. And, for those of us who are very, in a disability situation and cannot go to protest, we can all attest that most protests are absolutely peaceful. You shout your chants, you make a fuss so people listen, and you change the public opinion, which is kind of the point, isn't it? Anyway. This is a Rush Limbaugh free stream, yes. This is about, the Pablo Hasel, a Spanish rapper, was put in prison for writing tweets and songs saying the truth about how shitty the Spanish state is, basically. So welcome. So, Guardia Civil, which is the militarized body of police that exists in Spain, torturing and shooting immigrants, democracy. Jokes about fascists, apology of terrorism. There was this trans girl, this girl called, I don't remember her name. She made a joke about Carrero Blanco. Let me see. Carrero Blanco was a candidate to the presidency under the Franco dictatorship, who was considered like the right. Yeah, Cassandra. Yeah, I remember. Anyway, this girl Cassandra was making a joke about Carrero Blanco, who was killed by the terrorist group, the Liberation Army of the Basque Country, ETA, who were actually, they were the only thing that the Spanish state feared during their existence. There was a lot of criticism against ETA, which had a lot of problems because it started off as a revolutionary terrorist movement, and then they became basically just the army just for the sake of the army because they were getting a shitload of money by killing people and being popular, which not good. That's why so many people split from them and they formed the Abertzale movement, which is all about socialism and freedom and democracy. It sucks because at the beginning it was the only thing that really put the Francoist and post-Francoist governments in a pickle. They were really afraid of them. But yeah, jokes about fascist, apology of terrorism. This girl Cassandra was very close to being also jailed by making a salty joke about Carrero Blanco, our first space program candidate who flew in his car high on the sky thanks to the propulsion system was a bomb, underground bomb by ETA. The Basque Army separated from CNT because CNT, after the dictatorship of Franco, most of the people who survived from the leadership or leadership from the organization or part of the CNT, they fled to France, basically. They were to exile. Spain, after the quote unquote no, Catalonia, no. CNT was statewide, was everywhere. CNT was huge. CNT had millions of affiliates back in the 1930s. Up until the war started, CNT was a leading organization. Had so many affiliates. It was huge. So, is there a law that you aren't allowed to talk shit about the monarchy? Yes, they did the law, like on purpose. In fact, the inviolability of the monarchy is in our Constitution, 1978 Constitution, supposedly bringing us democracy, which brought us, the most repressive piece of shit state disguised as a democracy, which is not, Yeah, CNT is the closest to Vanguard card. Definitely, it was a confederation. It was a confederation, so everybody was federated. But again, the quote-unquote civil war, which was in fact an extermination war carried on by the fascists after the failed coup d'etat that lasted many years. They had a lot of time to kill a lot of left-leaning people, homosexuals, and non-conforming people, So they killed on the hundreds of thousands. So most people, had to run away. They had to flee the country and go to exile. There's a lot of people, everywhere, in the United States and in France and Latin America, everywhere. Latin America, most of the CNT refugees, that fled to Latin America, started a lot of good things in Latin America. A lot of good movements all over the continent. It was fantastic. So, yeah, Libertarias. Okay, that's a nice movie. It's a little bit revisionist, but okay. Very new to the part and time of the world, yeah. Super interested. There's a lot of literature about it. You should check it out. If y'all don't mind, I'm going to continue with the tweets just to get back on topic because it's so easy to digress, even for a distracted person like I am. So, yeah. And again, tweets from 2014, when, again, most of those guardias civiles were shooting on immigrants, who were swimming to get ashore, and they were shooting rubber bullets against them and killed several of them, because they drowned. Because, you're exhausted by trying to cross, from a sinking ship and get to the border. And swimming, to get to shore after days and days of eating nothing, and being cold and being fucked in a boat with another 30, 40, 50 people. Tiny boat, not even a real boat, like a something without even a decent motor, And then you have to swim to the shore and you're exhausted. And swimming itself, against the current, if the current is fucked up, it can really kill you. The sea can kill you. And in normal conditions, so you just wonder, if you've been through that ordeal that is, migrating with under a patera. A little bit, just a little bit, just a tad. There's a lot of good stuff. So I'm not gonna, discard it wholesale, but there's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. There's some good stuff too. Don't worry, we'll talk about it. We can probably. I'm gonna check the copyright stance on that movie and see what can I do to probably watch it live with y'all, okay? But, yeah, anyway. It's the double standard. Democracy is when the cops shoot migrants on the border. But making jokes about fascist is apology of terrorism. That's the ludicrous, the absurdity of the Spanish law, which is a turd, because the Spanish law has been modified by right-wingers of the Democrat, of the liberal and of the conservative persuasion, but all of them right-wingers for decades on. That was inherited, that legal system was inherited and transferred with the perfect transition of continuism from the Francoist dictatorship, a very oppressive, authoritarian, and society choking dictatorship. So no wonder the legal system in Spain is an absolute turd, designed to suppress and oppress people instead of empowering and protecting people. No shit. This is a no-brainer for anybody, with a little bit of sensibility. But for these lawyers, Uber lawyers who are bootlicking pieces of shit, of course they're gonna be offended by that shit. It's like they're not letting our class tread on them. They're not letting our class stamp our boots on them. They're complaining. How dare they? They should be grateful. Anyway, Guardia Civil torturing and shooting immigrants. That's the same tweet. It's the same twice. Okay. Typo. You know how journalism is. You're always in a hurry. Arrested in Galicia for apology of terrorism. That means by saying that they have to struggle against the fascist state, which is true. Again, this apology of terrorism is not designed to prevent terrorism. It's designed to suppress independentist movements. And same happens in Galicia. They want to be their own country. Galicia is a little bit more problematic in the left-right axis because there's a lot of more conservative people in Galicia. But again, they should all know their place and be grateful for the boot and their neck. We do so much for them. Exactly. You know the drill, Dela. So the mobster, the Bourbon mobster is out for party with the Saudi monarchy. And it's all between those who finance ISIS. Again, another truth. What's everything is right about this. And they put this poor guy in jail, in prison, They imprison the poor guy. The Bourbon thief must be having a hard time believing the impunity that he has to mock us, which is true. What's offensive about this? It's fighting back. They're offended by people fighting back with words, with fucking words. These logs are tweets, the tweets that put Pablo Hasel in prison, according to the Spanish legal system made of cocks and balls. This is Pablo Hasel, but there's another rapper who had to flee to Brussels. And he's a refugee in Brussels for more or less the same, tweeting and rapping something that, some motherfuckers got offended to. Motherfuckers with power, pieces of shit with power. Pieces of absolute shit with power. That's it, sometimes... I've seen this video game. How I'm a lot into video games, right? And there was this video game with this guy coming out to the street in a machete and chopping down all the enemies. All the enemies had suits, so they were, and everything with the suit, getting and chopping with a machete. It was a fun video game. I spent 30-something years dreaming about it. Anyway. Constancia en la lucha hasta que en días... So yeah, let's be consistent in our struggle up until the day where the one who is evicted is Felipe of the Bourbon, the current king, with all his family of parasites and enemies of the people. This is about struggling in 2015, which was a very high year of evictions. People were evicted. There was the huge financial crisis and people were put in the streets by the banks because they couldn't pay the fucking mortgage or rent or whichever. Which right now it sounds familiar for everywhere in the world, where people are not protected from the COVID-19 economical crisis right now, right? If you don't pay the rent, if you don't pay the bank or the landlord, you go out and live in the street if you can. That's violence. But no, that's not violence. That's the way things are. And you gotta accept them. You gotta accept the boot on your face every fucking day of your life. Yeah, the Bourbon royal family, yeah. We call them Borbones here in Spanish. They're a French family of royals. We need to organize in case you have to flee. Yeah, definitely. I need a ticket to Vietnam right now. Anyway, it's fine, you know. If I get sent to prison like him, well, at least I got bread and board, right? They call it the hotel. I can learn some crime. That's what prisons are for under capitalism, right? To learn how to be a better criminal. So it's the University of Crime, they call them. So the shitty mobster, the king, that shitty mobster, is lecturing from a palace. A millionaire on the expense of the misery of others. Spanish brand. The brand Spain. The brand Spain. This is something that people have been obsessed with. The brand Spain. How Spain is seen in the world as a brand, which is the most absolutely ridiculous bullshit, you know. But you know they play that shit. You know, they're into marketing those capitalist pieces of absolute shit. You're on the verge of homeless. Damn it, it's violence as fuck. I hate this feeling. I hear you, Della. Yeah, I'm sending you a hug right now, okay? Huge hug. I feel fuck the rich, really, fuck them. Always the French, poor French. Nah, I mean the French. They you know, they knew how to. They knew when to use the guillotine where they should have. I'm just saying. I'm always allowed to stop over in Slovakia. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, by the way, Nicole. Organizing with comrades, so I hope it'll be okay. But thank you. No probs. You'll be okay. You got comrades around you. You got a treasure over there. The most disgusting of the monarchy is that millionaires on other people's misery pretend to worry about the people. Yeah, it is disgusting. It's absolutely true. The PCE, the Communist Party of Spain, Partido Comunista de España, Communist Party of Spain, supported the monarchy imposed by Franco in the quote-unquote transition. Meanwhile, the PCER, the Partido Comunista de España Real, the real Communist Party of Spain, was working their asses off trying to publicly denounce this maneuver, which is true. And that's the Communist Party in Spain has been really problematic for a long time, because there were many maneuverists and opportunists in the country. I don't think Spain is made to have a communist party because of the hierarchical structure attracts the grifters. Like in other country, you know, with a more disciplined type of culture could be feasible, but not in Spain. I don't think Spain is made for having a proper communist party old school, because it doesn't really fit. Spain should be more anarchist, because given how prone the Spanish culture is to opportunism, anarchism is the best way to prevent opportunism. So the anarchist, not anarchism, the philosophy, but anarchism, the anarchist forms of organization are more efficient toward preventing opportunism, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of wrong with the US, but at the very least, no monarchy, definitely. I mean, you had Orange, man. There's a lot of problems, yeah. There's a lot of problems. Might as well be monarchy. Only folks with money, aka generational wealth, have access to power. Functionally, there's no different. Just manufacturing consent. Definitely. Also, we hypothetically have the freedom of speech, but the FBI will tell you. Yeah, definitely. Anyway, and the cops can just do whatever they want. Definitely. You'll never see a native person be in office. Definitely. I mean, check out the most notorious native person for the normalcy used Tulsi Gabbard, which is embarrassing. We replaced our aristocracy by blood with an artificial aristocracy by wealth. Absolutely, you got it. That's absolutely key, Nicole. You nailed it. That was one of the few helpful concepts that could be parsed out of a Jefferson quote, which is what he wanted. Definitely. Okay, more tweets from Pablo Hasel, okay? Thousands of elderly people in the rough without a roof over their heads. Meanwhile, monarchs are lecturing people from their palaces. What's wrong about this? If the people wants the monarchy so much as the pundits, the mercenary pundits say on TV, let the royal family be released without escorts on our streets. It's fucking good. It's fucking brilliant. Again, true, you know? If the people love so much the monarchy, they wouldn't need to have bodyguards, right? Before the terrorism state, the organized neighborhood, it includes, Okay, and the tweet includes, the organized neighborhood against the terrorism state, and includes a video with, with police charges on Lavapiés, which is a very working class neighborhood of Madrid, in the Madrid downtown, one of the few not recuperated neighborhoods in Madrid, central part. In the outskirts, is where the workers have been, you know how it goes, gentrification, all the bullshit, okay? So they call the graffiti crew a criminal gang and not the monarchy. What an absurd state we have. It's just true, Graffiti crew, they're just doing graffiti. They're minding their business. But the monarchs are oppressing entire populations. It's so fucking true, all of this. The mobster monarchy that lectures countries where nobody is evicted. I'm thinking it. And it includes an image of a comic where the king appears with a decapitated Saudi, which is true. Again, it's probably related to the video of "Por qué no te callas" that we've seen before. The hubris, saying that they're the democracy when what they're doing is oppressing the people. Under capitalist system and an incredibly hierarchical society that was inherited from the Francoist dictatorship. That was in turn inherited from former monarchies. This was a restoration exercise doing with Francoist characteristics. That's why the monarchy must go in Spain. But of course, it's illegal to say so here, apparently. It's illegal to say so. I mean, at least you're not stuck with the monarchy of another country. We can't even get rid of the Windsors in Canada. Woo, that sucks. Liberalism was just an attempt for the wealthy to become the new bloodlines. Nothing more, nothing less. They used the struggle of the lower class while ignoring the people they colonized. Yep, to get their power. Definitely. Hierarchical societies with useless hierarchy. Side note, I love the use of words like mafioso for these. You want to establish mafioso? I can establish mafioso on my translations now. So cool. It's not a hyperbole. It's just such a great descriptor. I agree so much. Hierarchy is gonna hierarch. Good one, Emily. Anyway, they want to exterminate him like his comrade Isabel Aparicio. Let them know. I don't know who they're talking about. I don't know. I don't know who is Isabel. I don't know. But whatever, context, people. I don't know about this one. I know context for everything else, but not about this one. The friends of the Spanish kingdom bombing hospitals while Juan Carlos goes to the whorehouse with them, which is true. It's talking about Saudi Arabia, probably. Saudi Arabia, who still is raging war on Yemen with the support of the United States and the European countries, all those white people from hell. One from the coup. Coup is it's a political party of independent alternative people, very very far left in Catalonia. One guy from coup talking clear against the monarchy, whilst EU, Izquierda Unida, which is kind of where the Communist Party is laughing and hanging out with the monarchy in the Zarzuela. But then again, yeah, I mean, I understand the hypocrisy of this, but again, there are diversity of tactics. Some people want to be in the government to change things, with moderate reforms that would escalate into better. And the Izquierda Unida, the United Left, in which they're included, the Communist Party, the mainstream Communist Party is included in there, but they're way more progressive. They would be like a socialist party if the Socialist Party really exists, like a social democratic with a view, more democratic socialist than social democratic, to be honest. But their bet is gaming. Is changing the system from within, which sucks because you gotta suck it up to a lot of parts of the system. But again, this guy Pablo Hasel, he's a bit of a quote unquote tanky. I hate to use that word. But he's got his own views. Again, not the most fair assessment, but not worth being jailed for. That's for sure. This shithead Pablo Iglesias is laughing in Zarzuela without throwing the Bourbon in his face, the atrocities of those who are responsible. Again, Pablo Iglesias is a progressive, is more or less is from the party Podemos, is the leader, and I respect their strategy of gaming the system from within. Not much can be done from within, as we've seen right now, but I respect their strategy. I wouldn't have this take. I don't share this take. But I see the hypocrisy he's pointing out, while the kings are financing and hanging out with this murderous Saudi monarchy, which is absolutely anti-human. So I see the sentiment. I don't share the analysis. Still not worth being thrown in jail. Not even by a long shot. Not even. So they call the terrible tyranny, they call Cuba a terrible tyranny, where with less resources, people are not being evicted. They hide the mafioso business of the Bourbons with Saudi Arabia, which is absolutely true. I support this take, absolutely. What is the name of this song? Hierarchy is gonna hierarch? I don't know. Are they really communist if they are mingling with the people whose interests are not with people? Yeah, I mean, it's a different strategy. It's a different strategy. I'm just gonna say that there's right now the government, the Izquierda Unida, has several ministers in them, and they're really, really, really working hard to ensure social protections for people under the stresses of COVID. So they have made like what they call the social shield, escudo social. So I would say, those people are trying to do good things. Can themselves again, Izquierda Unida, it's a larger coalition, but there's a lot of communists there who are trying to do the best with the pieces that they have, which doesn't exclude, having arms outside, having different avenues of the party that promote like more grassroots type of struggle, but they want to have a hand in these institutions. But you know what I mean. Because I hate that word. Yeah, the anarchist, and I get called tanky. I'm an anarchist and I get called tanky for being anti-imperialist. There you go. Liberals learning the word tanky is the worst thing. Yeah. Fuck them. I agree so much. That's true. They call Cuba a terrible tyranny, and then the Bourbons are making business with Saudi Arabia. It was fuck the hypocrisy of these people. And in Cuba, they're trying to do the best they can under a brutal embargo by the fascist of the United States. So there you go. So no matter how many millions they invest in manipulation, no matter how much they are perceived as untouchables, the monarchy would go to history as the parasites they are. True. The Spanish state giving weapons to the criminals, friends of the monarchy, so they can bomb Yemen. Let it be known. Yeah, it's true. They were selling bombs to Saudi Arabia. They were closing deals, and they probably got one of the things where the former king was indicted was because he was getting commissions from those sales. He has a huge fortune hidden in Switzerland and so on. Corrupt as fuck, classist as fuck, oppressive as fuck, friends with the Saudis, Because of the Saudis, children in Yemen are suffering like this. These are things of the democratic friends of the mafioso Bourbons. Includes an image of a child in high advanced malnutrition state being weighted. Whoopsie. Cops that were jailing people under Franco and now are jailing as judges in the Nazi Onal audience. Audiencia Nacional is an inherited body from the Franco stage. So yeah, they're absolute, tyrants. Judges in Spain are absolute tyrants, and that's one of the problems. The judiciary system in Spain to study the law career in a university. So if you want to study law, there are barely no scholarships. So you gotta be from a wealthy family to study law. It's a very long, very memory based. You gotta memorize all the laws and all the old laws. Learn about Roman law and yada yada. A lot of different types of law, and it's a long university. So you gotta need a family that supports you properly. So there's no working class people who can access the career of law. So, and once you become a lawyer and then become a judge for whatever reason, which are the oposiciones, which are like the entry exams that you take, are heavily based on memory. You gotta be good at memorize. That's all. There is no character, whatever, then you gotta apply the law as a judge. And these people don't see the strife of the working class. They don't see the inequalities in the system. The system works for them for them and their families. So what are the interests of the judges in Spain? They're the interests of the bourgeoisie. So whatever that goes through the judicial system in Spain is going to be heavily, skewed toward the bourgeois interests, the interests of the dominant class, right? So anyway, we shouldn't have even used that against Marxist-Leninist. The more I do root work to my neighbors, the more I learn that anarchism and Marxism came from the same root. Exactly. Root contradiction of liberalism and how it was borrowed from the native ideas. Read the great law of peace, you know what I mean? Is there a lèse-majesté law in Spain? yeah. They're actually untouchable. Drony is the modern update. Twin Rabbit did a very good and very long video about the topic in the indigeneity and the anarchism, if I'm not mistaken. You're correct. Stolen Anarchy playing an Indian in the roots of collectivism. Sorry, I digressed. We all digress here. We're professional digressors. Digressing is our thing. I like that. I found that video when I was researching Paul Robin, an anarchist educator who used Maria Diaz. Yeah, very early implemented. Okay. Woo. Anyway, so the same the same bastards were cops under Franco were now judges in high positions because of the Francoist and heavily right-wing and conservative ideas in the Audiencia Nacional. The higher positions of the ruling bodies in the judiciary, in the law, in the judiciary, are chosen by right-wing politicians or chosen by other right-wing judges. So all the judges, or the vast majority of the judges in charge who dictate the policy among the judges, are brutally right-wing, brutally enemies of the people they're supposed to serve. So that's how fucked up. And that's why, the right-wing conducts what they call lawfare. And it's because of that shit. It's systemic. It is by design. So, Spain needs to get rid of all of those fascist judges and create like a different system of arbitration. And, don't get me started on the set of laws, on who makes the fucking laws. Because we got like two cameras. We got like the parliament where they discuss the laws, and then we got the Senate in which the laws are corrected. And in the Senate, is where the most ghoulish, failed, retired politicians go. So it's all the garbage goes there. And those are the ones who get the final say about the laws that we have. That's absolute shit. What kind of a legal system is that? Joseba Arregui asesinado, murdered by the police, being tortured. I don't know the case of Joseba Arregui. Let me check it. Joseba Arregui. Okay. There's a lot of Joseba Arreguis. I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to move on, okay? It's okay. Two scummy cops say, we care for your security. While they're being paid by you, they come to evict you. Exactly. Police were executing evictions for the banks. They're kicking people out of their houses. In the quote-unquote eviction-free city that Carmena was the former mayor of Madrid, who was theoretically a progressive, who eventually became less progressive, but, not as bad as the current mayor, which is an absolute turd, which is actually the size of a turd. He's a tiny, evil bastard. So police are beating up and arresting whoever opposes the evictions right now. Yeah. They said, they promised, a lot of good things. They didn't do a lot of good things. Ada Colau, again, mayor of Barcelona, still current mayor of Barcelona, who got re-elected. And I'm not going to get to the case of Madrid because that was fucked up. But Ada Colau would not call the king a criminal for selling guns to Saudi Arabia or living at all luxury at the behest of the misery of the people. And she criminalizes the strike, which is not cool. Still, she's like a supposedly progressive mayor, but when they get in office, not so much. Lawfare is a good portmanteau. Yeah, definitely. It's good stuff. And it's very common in Latin America, what they did to Correa, what they did to Lula in Brazil, Correa in Ecuador, what they did to, I think they did the same, they did the same, and they did the coup d'etat later to Evo Morales in Bolivia. Lawfare is becoming a trend in the last 10 years in Latin America, and it is the first strategy in Spain, considering that most of the judges in Spain are absolute fascist pieces of absolute shit, which is, and they're supposed to be respectable. They get paid shit ton of money by the state, by our money, the money of the people. This is an ADHD-based stream. I say this is as an ADHD person. Let's digress. Yeah. Check it out. Lawfare. It's a thing, really. It's a right-wing strategy, mostly used in Latin America. But yeah, it's still used heavily in Spain, Podemos, which is this quote-unquote progressive party here in Spain, which is to the left of PSOE, who are now part of the government. They have a few ministers here and there, but they have like a very small influence because of the small amount of votes. They've been attacked with lawfare. They're being sued continuously by right-wing lawyers, and those lawsuits they get heavily represented in the mainstream press, so they get like a lot of attention. And then those lawsuits are dismissed because most of the cases are bullshit, but their judges and their lawyers and their attorneys, they're friends with them, so they allow them to do that. So they get the big headlines that they were corrupt and evil and they did this and they did that. When it's proved that there's nothing wrong, there's no wrongdoing on the behalf of these people, because these people actually carry like the tightest ever ship. Because of that, and because of the principles of the Podemos party anyway, and the statutes and their the voters, long story. This lawfare goes coordinated with the press and with corrupt police people who were doing like what they call las cloacas del Estado, which is like the state's lower sewers or something. So it was something. So just check it out. Policemen who kill your son and they still go unpunished, and on top of that they sue and ask for money. Yeah, that happens in Spain. If I were the father of Íñigo Cavacas, the police would really know. Yeah, the police would know what they had coming, because on top of that they're asking money for murdering him. That's the case of Cavacas. The police murders 15 immigrants, and they're holy little people. The people defends from their brutality and were labeled as violent, terrorist, and rubbish people. The policeman who shot and murdered the Íñigo Cavacas is suing for 777,000 euros to the family for being investigated. Who's not going to lose their nerves because of that? The police sows racism and gathers rage. Who's surprised about it? Yeah. Harvest this rage. Sorry, harvest, because it's sowing and harvesting. So the police sows racism and harvests rage. Who's surprised with that? Again, none of these tweets are worth being put in jail, put in prison for that. What's in their heads, and what are the legal tools that allow this to happen? What are the systems put in place, and how evil are the people who are executing these things? Anyway, even the nicest looking cop is arresting those exploited and looted for struggling. They are not friends. 1312, right? So reap, idiom, nice, yes. Found something that says in February 1990, Joseba Arregui was a member of ETA who died in a police station after being tortured. There you go. They are making an example. They don't do this. They will be seen as weak and therefore unallowed to rule. Fascists only understand and respect hard power. There you go. Sí, no nos representas. Yes, they don't represent us. They don't represent us. And that's Ignacio Varela Gomez. I don't know who this guy is. Let me check it out. Sounds familiar. Rings a bell. Okay. Yeah. Born 12 January 1977, Plasencia Cáceres, Pontevedra. 17th of December, he's arrested in Madrid against 2 other militants in assault to a bank in a grapple. Yeah, of course. Of course. He was sentenced to prison. Yeah. He got naked. Yeah. And tortured in prison. Of course. They don't represent us. Of course they don't. You know, Grapo was another terrorist gang, Grupos Revolucionarios Antifascistas 1 de Octubre, revolutionary anti-fascist groups 1st of October. It was born in the 70s, I think. It was a terrorist group, lefty terrorist group, in which one of the founders is called. One of the founders resulted to be a piece of garbage. Pio Moa is a fake historian who is absolutely revisionist and right-wing right now, and who was a fucking member of the Grapo for whatever reason in the 70s. There's a lot of cases of absolute pieces of shit who are the most radical fascists in Spain, who were in the 70s were communists for some reason. Radical communists for some reason. That's why, you gotta take it, yeah. Anyway, Pio Moa is absolute garbage. Don't read a fucking line of him. If somebody quotes you Pio Moa, you say that's bullshit. That's a lie. It's like the guy who wrote the Black Book of Communism and stuff. It's straight fascistic piece of shit. Anyway, the demonstrations are necessary, but they're not enough. Let's support those who went beyond. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Of course, he's hinting to terrorist organizations, but again, terrorism has been demonized. Police treats immigrants with racism, and when they receive when they're beaten up in response, they play victims. Same old story. True. Students responding to the police brutality in Euskal Herria, which is the Basque country, is the Basque name for the Basque country. Yeah, it's the Black Book of Communism is garbage. Pio Moa is absolute garbage. It's that type of garbage, if you know what I mean. That revisionist type of garbage is absolutely propagandistic, and they pretend to be historians. They're full of shit. Anyway, struggling for dignified education means that the police will arrest you, or they crack your head with their truncheons. And it's happening again in Gasteiz, in Vitoria, the capital of Euskal Herria, Euskadi, the Basque country. These are tweets from 2016, you know what I mean? So when the police uses their weapons against the oppressors and not against the oppressed, they can start to tell us that they're allies. And it's so fucking true. These aren't even controversial. Not to say, deserving jail time, prison time. That's absolute truth. Today, the police, enemy of democracy, has been cracking heads and arresting young people who were fighting for a dignified education. And it's true, You protest in the streets and they crack your head open. And they're the fucking victims? Fuck. Anyway, they'll pretend later, they'll have the pretense later for us to cry for them when something happens to these monsters that they call police people. And it includes a video of Guardia Civil, which is the militarized police force, like the National Guard-ish, shooting rubber bullets. Yeah. Oops, sorry about that. No Guardia Civil, again, the National Guard-ish, pay for the 16 murdered immigrants shot with rubber bullets. Now they call this democracy, and it includes an image of a disease in a beach. That's absolutely true. But I don't see the problem in any of these tweets. We don't see you so insisting with a much stronger blows of the imperialist bombers and the tortures of the police. I would assume that's addressed to the king. I don't know. That lacks context. Monica and Francisco, 12 years prison for material damages in a basilica. Civil guard, the police force, impunity for tens of murdered immigrants. That's true. There's a double standard. If you're working class, you get 12 years of prison for alleged damages in a church, because you're attacking the church, which is like the mother of fascism in Spain is the Catholic Church. And I respect religious people all the way, but the role that Catholic Church has taken in the Spanish history regarding fascism, oppression, monarchy, and all kinds of tyranny in Spain, they're still to be held accountable for that shit. It's Darvo deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. It's a tactic that is used by abusers to gaslight their victims. Yeah, people internalize it from somewhere. They're internalized from hierarchical systems. Yep. Good point, Dragoness, as usual. Police suing Breonna Taylor's boyfriend for emotional distress. Piece of shit. Yeah, definitely. And so it was. They were exterminated. It takes with Isabel Aparicio. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Whatever. They were condenaron. They were sentenced to 12 years prison for being in the propaganda apparatus of a real Communist Party of Spain. 12 years without any armed struggle. Okay, that's Isabel Aparicio. Okay, let me see. Isabel Aparicio PCER. Okay. No. Okay. Mistyped. There you go. That should render. Oh, she was murdered. Oh, what the fuck? 503, whatever this is. Oh, she died in prison. Okay. Murder by the fascist state. She was just doing propaganda. And she was she had a medical condition and they failed to attend her. Quelle surprise. Systemic oppression that manifests from the top to the bottom, accepting nothing less than the boot of your damn neck. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it was fucking awful. I hear you. Okay, 2 years since Isabel Aparicio was exterminated for being a communist, denying the state denying the medical assistance in prison, which is true. Not forget, we won't forgive, we won't forget. What they got is to murder your important legacy of struggle. You live much more than them. And again, celebrating the life of Isabel Aparicio and denouncing the unnecessary death of a communist militant. They wanted to silence you, exterminate you, and they will never be able to do it because your voice are the scream, the yells of the desperate, and includes again the grave of Isabel Aparicio. The murdering police people, the cops who murdered Íñigo Cavacas, they're not just unpunished, but on top of that, they were demanding money from the family. Reality is sometimes stronger than fiction. New letter from the political prisoner Victoria Gomez. Victoria Gomez. Okay. Victoria Gómez Méndez, desde la prisión de Topas, la gestión de la pandemia. Okay, she was a member from the Grapo. Okay. She's a political prisoner. course she is. I mean, there's nothing controversial about this. That reminds me of a line from a clipping song. Look back, blood on the ground. Look straight, they're still shooting. Jump back, still here. Now what they're telling you about death. Death ain't shit. You gotta drink it up. I don't know that song. I'll check it out later. Let me finish. We're about to finish with the tweets. Okay, okay. Juan Martín Luna, militant of the real Communist Party, murdered by the police for defending our rights. Absolutely nothing controversial. Anti-fascist militant retells the tortures that he suffered on behalf of the police. They wanted to exterminate him, and they will never be able to do it because your voice. They wanted to exterminate you, and they were never able to do it because your voice are the yells of the desperate. Again, that's the same tweet as before about Isabel Aparicio, militant of the Grapo. The police murders with absolute impunity. Íñigo Cavacas, the migrants, etc. But Pablo Iglesias, the Secretary General of Podemos, says that they protect us. That's true that Podemos has been taking a very pro-police stance, and that sucks. That really sucks. That really sucks. That's one of the main criticisms I have towards that party, to be honest. One more year with a mobster and medieval monarchy, mafiosa and medieval monarchy, insulting the intelligence and to divinity with public money. Again, there's absolutely nothing controversial about these tweets. There's absolutely nothing controversial about these tweets. This man is put in jail, in prison, for absolutely no reason. And that's to put it mildly, that's highly problematic, right? Highly problematic. So, I'm going to pay attention to people. Clipping song. Okay, I'll check out the clipping song. Fucking rad. Okay, do you have the title for the song and everything? They can kill us, but they cannot kill the desire of the people to be free. Would it cost me a copyright strike? I hope not. A DNCA takedown thing? Clipping, blood on the fang. Okay, gotcha. Watcha. It might. Okay. So I'll see what we can do about it, okay? Blood of the fang. Let's see.
By the Christians it is written.
Drinking looted agenda. Too long to get, they bully can't taste his own. And what you need to know is in the drink.
Oh, it's kind of hip hop.
Drink it up.
Kind of trappish. Okay, if it's gonna get me in trouble with the copyright police, but I'm gonna check it out later for sure. Okay. Let's see who's the publisher. Let me check because it probably shows here in the description. Sub Pop, yeah, Sub Pop Records, yeah, probably copyright shit. Yeah, it's been auto-generated by YouTube, so probably it's gonna recognize the song, and we're gonna be in trouble because they don't understand that culture is there to be shared and everything. The copyright mafia, devs. Talks about the Black Panthers party struggles. Yeah, definitely. Every time there's a struggle for power, on behalf of the people, we're gonna always face a reactionary force of the sorts. The reactionaries are gonna be there, fucking with us. And yeah, you should, Gotta go take a shower, but thank you thank you so much. Pleasure, Emily. Have a nice shower. Have some good smelling soap and bubbles and fun. And, may the water be in a good temperature. And may you play a nice playlist while getting the good, steamy, good stuff in you and the nice smelling things on your physical being. That's cool. So yeah, anyway, I think, do you have any doubts about this process or anything? I more or less told you what Spain is all about, which is, Spain is a thing that needs to disappear because it's an unfixable monster at this point, and I'm sorry to the people in Podemos who think they can fix it. They're having they're in office in government alongside with PSOE, but PSOE, which are like the Democrat party, but for Spain are absolute rubbish, and they have majority. Basically, they're the most voted party in the latest 2 or 3 elections that happened in a span of a few months, because nobody could form a government because Spanish politicians could not operate in a multi-party system, being used to be a bipartisan system for so long. And when that thing was broken, they were fucked up. Anyway, these people, Podemos, were not the most revolutionary people in the world. They're like moderate, leftist, milquetoast as fuck. Unidas Podemos, which is the union of Izquierda Unida and Podemos, and they joined forces electorally to have positions and whatnot. And yeah, I saw you on that shower. It's always nice to have a good shower. It's too cold in my bathroom. I'll take one tomorrow. It's too fucking cold in that bathroom. I'll take one tomorrow during the day. Spanish houses are not so very good for winter time. They're not very well isolated. Mostly working class Spanish places, It is what it is. We live in cheap ass apartments that are not very well insulated. It is what it is. But yeah, you cannot own ideas. Yeah, but the capitalist has colonized our minds with the idea that this is fair. Intellectual property is private property, but in your head. Definitely. It's bullshit. It all belongs to... And that the problem is that artists cannot live under capitalism because capitalism doesn't conceive the arts as something valuable, therefore monetizable. And with a system of money and everything, you gotta do a job that is considered useful for society. And considered useful, not actually being useful. Like in the case of COVID-19 crisis, what happened, is that many jobs that are shit paid, they're shitty pay. They're very low considered jobs, and they're the capitalist paradigm of existing a hierarchy of what's the best paid and what's the least paid. And I would say, a CEO, we can live during the pandemic without CEOs, but we cannot live during the pandemic without delivery people or people who are flipping burgers or cleaning up hospitals. Not to say, the medical stuff and all the assisting stuff in the hospitals and whatnot, or people who pick up the trash. And those are not the best paid jobs ever. So there's something wrong with that artificial hierarchy out there, right? So artists have the same. Like, art is for free. There's an aristocracy of 3 or 4 artists who join the mainstream bullshit, and they get away with it. Anyway, that's gonna close the theme on today's stream regarding Spain sucks and fuck Spain. Spain needs to disappear, needs to become a confederate union of Iberian republics alongside with Portugal and Galicia and Aragon and Catalonia and the Basque Country and whatnot, which are absolutely Republican and needs to disappear.